Welcome back to the deep dive. We are opening up a file today that, well, on the surface, it looks like a very specific tactical guide for a really niche medical situation.
Yeah, it really does.
But as I sat with this material and I really spent some time with it, I realized we're looking at something much bigger here.
Well, absolutely.
We are looking at the mechanics of love, the trap of good intentions, and just the incredibly messy reality of what it actually means to be helpful to someone.
It's deceptive, isn't it?
Yeah.
You pick up this guide expecting a basic checklist,
Right.
like a how-to manual for
Yeah.
assisting someone with low vision. And halfway through, you find yourself questioning your entire approach to relationships.
You really do.
You start asking yourself, wait, do I do this to my spouse? Do I do this to my kids?
Exactly. We are diving into a dynamic that plays out in living rooms, five-star restaurants, and crowded sidewalks everywhere.
Every single day.
And often without the participants even realizing that the tragedy is unfolding in slow motion right between them.
That's a great way to frame it.
So to get us grounded in this, I want to introduce you to a character from the source material. The guide refers to him as Husband Harry.
Ah, yes. Husband Harry.
Yes.
A character who is simultaneously the hero and the villain of his own story.
That is the perfect way to put it, because on paper, I mean, Harry is a saint.
He really is.
And this is crucial for you listening to understand. Harry loves his wife deeply.
Deeply.
She has low vision. She's losing her sight. And Harry, being the devoted partner he is, has decided that his mission in life is to be her shield.
He wants to protect her.
Right. He wants to smooth the path. He wants to make her life easier. He just wants to be the buffer between her and a really difficult world.
Which is the instinct of almost every loving partner, you know?
Yeah.
When we see someone we love struggling, our biological imperative is to intervene.
We want to fix it.
Exactly. We want to take the burden away. We can't stand to watch them struggle.
So let's look at how Harry, unquote, fixes it. The source material gives us this highlight reel of Harry's greatest hits.
The worst hits, really.
Yeah. Imagine this scenario. They're walking down a busy street together.
Okay.
Harry sees a crack in the sidewalk or maybe a slow-moving pedestrian in their path.
Sure.
He doesn't say anything. He just grabs her arm, specifically grabbing her bicep, and he steers her.
Just physically moves her.
He physically maneuvers her around the obstacle, like he's driving a shopping cart.
The steering wheel maneuver.
Yes.
And the thing is, it's effective, right? In a purely utilitarian sense.
She doesn't trip.
Right. She doesn't bump into the stranger. Job done.
But then we move to dinner. They are out at a nice steakhouse.
A classic date night.
The food arrives. Harry looks at her plate. He looks at the sharp knife. And he anticipates the struggle.
Because he knows her so well.
Exactly. He knows it takes her a moment to find the edge of the meat with her fork. So without a word, he just reaches over, takes her plate, cuts the meat into bite-sized pieces, and slides it right back to her.
He just completely removed the friction.
Yep.
He solves the problem of the difficult steak for her.
And finally, the social interaction.
Oh, this one is so common.
They are out with friends. Someone asks her, hey, how are you handling the new medication? Or maybe, what do you think of this wine?
And before she can even speak.
Before she can even take a breath to answer, Harry jumps in.
Right.
Oh, she's doing great, the meds are fine, or she loves the Cabernet.
He becomes the press secretary.
Press secretary, yeah.
He just answers for her to save her the effort of navigating the conversation.
So we have the steering wheel, the meat cutter, and the press secretary.
All rolled into one well-meaning guy.
Harry is just exhausting himself doing all this. He genuinely thinks he is winning the Best Husband award here.
He really does.
But then the narrative gives us the turning point.
The climax of the story.
Right, the explosion. It's presumably dinner time again. Maybe the meat has just been cut.
Again.
And the wife, who knows he loves her, who knows he is trying, she finally snaps.
She just can't take it anymore.
She looks at him and screams, "Stop treating me like a child."
That phrase, that specific choice of words, it just hits like a sledgehammer.
It really does. And Harry is crushed. The source says he is completely bewildered by this.
Of course he is.
He is hurt because, in his mind, he was just trying to help.
Just trying to help.
And that right there is the core conflict we are unpacking for this entire deep dive.
It is the tragic gap between intent and impact.
Intent and impact.
Yeah, right. Because Harry's intent was love. But the impact was humiliation.
Yeah.
Harry's intent was support. The impact was the absolute erosion of her dignity.
Wow.
And the wife's reaction, "Stop treating me like a child," is the key to unlocking exactly why this is happening.
So our mission today for you listening is to close that gap. We are analyzing excerpts from a really profound source.
The co-pilot's compass.
Yes, the Co-Pilot's Compass, a guide to dignified caregiving. And specifically, we are looking at episode 17, which is called The Partner's Guide.
And I should note, this isn't just a list of don'ts. It's not just scolding caregivers. It is a complete philosophical overhaul of how we think about care.
It really is. It offers a completely new operating system for the relationship. It moves us away from being the controller and towards being an actual partner.
And there is a North Star for this entire deep dive.
Yes, let's establish that right now.
If you take nothing else away from this discussion today, the source material wants you to burn this one sentence into your brain.
Help that removes dignity is not help.
Help that removes dignity is not help.
It sounds so simple.
Almost like a platitude, right on a bumper sticker.
Right, but when you apply it to the messy reality of daily life, it becomes a really radical challenge.
It forces us to ask a really hard question.
Uh-huh.
Is my help empowering you or is it diminishing you?
Okay, let's unpack this. We need to go back to the scene of the crime, so to speak.
Let's do it.
We need to deconstruct Harry's methodology, because honestly, I think a lot of us have a little husband Harry in us.
Oh, absolutely. We are fixers by nature.
We are.
And we tend to equate fixing things with caring for people.
Right. But let's look at the specific examples the source provides. Let's start with the meat cutting.
Okay.
On the surface, this is a kindness.
Sure. It removes a mechanical difficulty for her.
But if we look deeper into that action, what is the actual symbolic weight of what he's doing? I mean, who else gets their meat cut for them?
Exactly. We cut meat for toddlers.
Right.
We cut meat for people who lack the basic motor skills or the safety awareness to handle a knife.
Yeah.
So when one adult cuts another adult's meat without even being asked, it creates this immediate, visible hierarchy right there at the table.
It changes the dynamic instantly.
It does. Suddenly one person is capable and the other is dependent. One person is the provider, the other is the receiver.
It's no longer a date.
Exactly. It shifts the dynamic from a romantic date night between equals to a parent-child feeding session.
And it's public, too, which is just, ugh. The waiter sees it.
Yes.
The people at the next table see it.
That's a huge part of the humiliation.
Yeah.
It signals to the entire room, hey, she cannot handle this. It completely strips her of a basic autonomous activity. Now, yes, cutting the meat might take her longer.
Sure. Maybe she has to feel around for the edge.
Right. And yes, it might be a bit of struggle, but the source argues incredibly strongly that the struggle is hers to choose.
Hers to choose.
By taking that struggle away, Harry's essentially saying, I don't trust you to handle this. Or perhaps even more accurately, your struggle makes me uncomfortable, so I'm going to remove it.
Oof. That is the part that really stings. Your struggle makes me uncomfortable.
It's hard to admit.
It's almost like he's doing it to relieve his own anxiety about watching her struggle rather than actually helping her.
That is a very astute observation.
You think so?
Absolutely. Because often, overfunctioning caregiving is really about managing the caregiver's anxiety, not the recipient's actual needs.
That makes so much sense.
Watching someone we love struggle is painful. It literally spikes our cortisol. So we intervene to lower our own stress levels, and then we pat ourselves on the back and call it helping them.
Wow. Okay, then there's the second behavior. Answering questions on her behalf.
The press secretary mode.
This one drives me crazy even just reading about it in the outline.
It's the phenomenon of invisibility.
Invisibility, yes.
When you answer for someone, you are effectively silencing them. You are rendering them a ghost in their own life.
Yeah.
It assumes that just because she has low vision, she somehow also has low cognition or an inability to advocate for herself.
It's like that old trope, does she take sugar in her tea?
Exactly. The waiter looks at Harry, Harry answers the question, and the wife is just sitting there like a prop.
Like she's not even at the table.
And imagine the cumulative effect of that over time.
Right, because once is annoying.
But 1,000 times over 10 years.
It's soul-crushing.
It is an erosion of self.
Yeah.
It tells the world, and eventually it tells the partner herself, I am not really here. Harry is the interface for my existence. You have to go through him to get to me.
That is terrifying when you put it like that. It's almost like identity theft, in a way.
It is.
And then we have the physical aspect, the steering. The source specifically describes Harry grabbing her arm to guide her down the street.
Right. Note the specific verb used there. Grabbing.
It sounds aggressive.
It is aggressive. Even if his internal intent is gentle, the physical action is forceful.
Yeah,
When you grab someone's arm to steer them, you are treating them like an object to be moved.
like luggage.
Exactly. You are the tugboat and they are the barge. You are determining the speed, the direction, the entire trajectory of their movement.
And again, it brings us right back to that hierarchy. The steerer completely controls the steered.
And physically, just think about what that feels like, to be pushed or pulled along a sidewalk.
It would make me tense up immediately.
Right. It triggers a stress response.
Yeah.
It is a fundamental violation of bodily autonomy, however minor Harry might think it is in the moment.
He's just overriding her.
He is overriding her physical will with his own.
Which brings us perfectly back to the explosion, the climax of the story. Stop treating me like a child.
The inevitable result.
Right, because when I first read that in the outline, I thought, okay, she's just frustrated with her vision loss and taking it out on him.
A lot of people might read it that way initially.
But now that we've really broken down the actions, the cutting the food, the speaking for her, the physically steering her, these are literally the job descriptions of a parent with a toddler.
They are.
It's exactly what you do for a 3-year-old.
And that is exactly why the phrase she uses is so specific and honestly so devastating.
Yeah.
It's not, hey, stop being annoying. It is, stop treating me like a child. She is correctly identifying the fundamental shift in their relationship.
The dynamic is ruined.
Because you cannot be romantic partners. You cannot be equals. If one of you is acting as a parent and the other is relegated to the child.
It kills the intimacy. Dead.
Completely. Intimacy requires equality. It requires mutual respect.
Yeah.
And husband Harry, in his desperate effort to help, has accidentally destroyed the equality in his own marriage.
He has turned his wife into a project to be managed.
Rather than a person to be loved.
A project to be managed. That is the trap right there. I think so many of us fall into that, especially when any kind of medical issue arises with a loved one. We just immediately go into project management mode.
It's a coping mechanism.
It is. But thankfully, the source material doesn't just leave us in this depressing hole of, well, Harry is ruining everything and love is doomed.
Right, it's not a tragedy.
It offers a way out. And this is where it gets really interesting for me, because I love a good metaphor, and this guide is built around one of the best ones I've heard in a long time.
It is called the co-pilot's compass, after all.
Yeah.
The aviation metaphor is absolutely central to the solution they propose.
Right. So let's talk about the pilot and the co-pilot. This is the core philosophy of the source.
The analogy is brilliant in its simplicity, but we really have to define the terms carefully so we don't get lost.
Let's do it.
The source asserts very clearly, be the co-pilot, not the pilot. Now, in this scenario, the person with low vision, the wife, in Harry's case, she is the pilot.
Which I have to say is really counterintuitive for a lot of people, right?
It is.
Because usually we think the person with the quote-unquote disability needs someone else to drive. Harry thinks, well, she can't see the runway, I better take the yoke.
Exactly. That is the classic medical model of thinking.
Broken needs fixing.
Right. She is broken, therefore I must fix it and take over.
Mm.
But the source is absolutely adamant about this. She is still flying the plane.
She has to be.
The plane is her life. She is the one living it. She is the one feeling the physical and emotional consequences of every single decision. She has the controls.
Okay, so if she's the pilot, what exactly is Harry?
Harry is the co-pilot.
Right.
And we need to be very clear about what a co-pilot actually does in this specific metaphorical context.
Mm.
Because in modern aviation, specifically in what they call crew resource management,
Oh, interesting.
the co-pilot is not just the backup driver who grabs the wheel whenever things get a little bumpy.
Right.
The co-pilot is the navigator. Their primary job is to read the map.
Reading the map, I really like that. It sounds so much less intrusive than steering.
It is. The co-pilot provides data. They scan the instruments. They look out the window and say, hey, there is a mountain range at 12 o'clock.
Mm.
Or we're drifting off course a few degrees. Or airspeed is dropping.
They are feeding information.
They provide the crucial information that the pilot might be missing. But, and this is the absolute crucial distinction here, they do not fly the plane.
They don't bank the wings.
Oh, yeah.
They don't drop the landing gear. They just provide the intel so the pilot can do it themselves.
Precisely. So if we apply this back to Harry and his wife at the restaurant,
Okay.
grabbing the controls would be reaching over and cutting the meat.
Right. That's taking the physical action away from the pilot.
Yes. Reading the map, on the other hand, would be describing the plate,
Giving her the layout.
giving her the information she needs to cut the meat herself.
Yeah.
We will get to the specific tactical solutions for that in a moment, but Conceptually, this is the massive shift.
The pilot needs information to make decisions. They do not need someone to make the decisions for them. But the source mentions a very specific hard rule here. It says, don't grab the controls unless they ask.
That is the ultimate rule of engagement.
Why is that so hard, though? Why is it so excruciatingly hard for Harry to just sit there and read the map?
Because reading the map feels passive.
Yeah.
Compared to grabbing the wheel and taking action, it feels like you aren't doing enough. And honestly, because watching someone fly into turbulence is terrifying.
It is.
If you see your partner about to bump into a chair or struggling for 30 seconds to find their water glass, every instinct in your body screams at you to intervene, to fix it.
Just hand her the glass.
Right. To sit back and simply provide data saying, the chair is on your left. It requires a tremendous, almost unnatural amount of self-discipline.
It really requires trusting the pilot.
Yes. It requires trusting that she can fly her own plane, even if she flies it differently than you would.
Even if she flies it slower.
Even if she flies it slower. Even if she bumps the landing gear a little bit on the runway.
It's about accepting a totally different definition of efficiency, isn't it?
How so?
Well, Harry thinks efficiency is getting the meat cut in 10 seconds flat so they can eat.
Right.
But she might think efficiency is maintaining her dignity and autonomy, even if it takes her 2 full minutes to cut the steak.
Precisely. It's efficiency for the task versus efficiency for the relationship.
Oh, that's good.
Harry is optimizing for the task. The steak gets cut, but the source wants us to optimize for the human.
Optimize for the human. That's a really powerful frame shift for anyone listening.
It changes everything.
Okay, so we have the philosophy down. We are the co-pilot. We are reading the map. We are keeping our hands strictly off the controls unless we are explicitly called upon.
Right.
But what does that actually look like in practice? Like on a Tuesday night at Olive Garden?
Right. Theory is great, but we need application.
Because the source gives us some really specific tactical solutions that can replace Harry's bad habits.
These are the how-to manuals for the newly trained co-pilot. This is where the rubber finally meets the runway.
So let's start with scenario A from the outline. Dining and eating.
The restaurant scene.
We've talked about the problem. Cutting the meat, feeding the partner. Feeding an adult partner that's just a lot. Unless it's some kind of playful romantic thing, doing it in public out of pure necessity is humiliating.
It creates a complete spectacle of dependence. Everyone is watching.
Right. So the solution the source proposes to replace this is called the clock method.
The clock method. Now, this is a classic orientation technique.
Yeah.
It's used widely in the blind and low vision community, but the way the source frames it fits perfectly into our co-pilot analogy.
How does it actually work? Walk us through it.
Okay, imagine the dinner plate in front of you is a clock face.
Okay.
12 o'clock is at the top of the plate,
Yeah.
furthest away from you. 6 o'clock is at the bottom, closest to your body.
Makes sense.
So instead of taking the fork and physically putting food into your partner's mouth or cutting it up for them, you provide the data map.
You read the map.
Exactly. You say your steak is at 6 o'clock, the mashed potatoes are at 9 o'clock, the green beans are at 2 o'clock.
And for the drinks on the table.
Same exact thing. You expand the clock. You say your water glass is at 2 o'clock, just about 2 inches above the knife.
Okay, so obviously this is better because I'm not literally shoving food in their face.
Right.
But practically speaking, how does this actually change the internal experience for the pilot, for the wife?
It completely restores her agency. Think about the cognitive process of eating.
Okay.
If you feed me, I have to eat at your pace.
True.
I eat exactly what you choose to put on the fork at that moment.
Yeah.
I am entirely passive in the experience.
You're just receiving.
Right. But if you tell me potatoes at 9, steak at 6, I now have the mental map in my own head.
You can visualize it.
Yes. I can decide, you know what, I want to bite a steak right now. I can reach out, use my own proprioception to find 6 o'clock on the plate, cut a piece myself, and eat it. I am the actor in the scenario again.
Oh.
You just turned the lights on for me.
You gave me the map and I flew the plane to the steak.
Exactly. You provided the necessary information to overcome the vision deficit, but you did not take away the action itself.
And it just sounds so much more dignified. It's subtle, too.
Very subtle.
If you're at a dinner party with friends, leaning over and whispering, hey, water's at 2 o'clock, is way less conspicuous than reaching across the table and guiding someone's hand to the glass.
It creates a sort of partnership's secret code vibe.
I like that.
Rather than a nurse and patient vibe.
Yeah.
It allows the couple to communicate in a way that feels intimate and connected, rather than medicinal and clinical.
It also requires Harry to be really precise, though, right? The source warns against using vague language.
Oh, yes. The absolute enemy of the effective co-pilot is the phrase, "it's over there."
It's over there. Or, watch out.
Over there is entirely useless.
Right.
Over there, right here, watch out for that thing. These are meaningless data points if the pilot cannot see where you're pointing.
Because they lack the visual context.
Exactly. So the co-pilot must learn to speak in absolutes. Clock faces, cardinal directions, inches and feet.
Be specific.
You have to say the salt shaker is 3 inches past your right hand. That is actionable data.
So Harry actually has to become a better communicator. He has to upgrade his own software to do this right.
He has to become a precision instrument. He has to stop being the frontal lobe making the decisions and start being the optic nerve transmitting the data.
Stop being the frontal lobe and start being the optic nerve. I love that.
That's a great way to remember it.
Okay, so that's dining. That's scenario A. Now let's move to scenario B, movement and navigation.
Right. Out in the world,
This is the Harry grabbing the arm on the sidewalk problem.
which is a huge safety issue as well as a dignity issue.
The source calls the solution for this the guide. But reading through it, it's not just about the act of guiding, it's entirely about how you connect physically.
The instruction is incredibly specific here. Offer your elbow, don't grab her.
Offer your elbow. The outline says, let her hold you.
That phrase alone,
Yeah.
let her hold you, it reverses the entire physical and power dynamic of the walk.
Let's break down the actual physics of this.
Let's do it.
Because the outline highlights this as a, quote, deep analysis of physical difference. What is actually happening biomechanically when we switch from Harry grabbing her arm to him offering his elbow?
It's fascinating. When Harry grabs her arm to steer, he is actively applying force.
Right.
He's either pushing her from behind or pulling her from the front.
Mhm.
To move her, he has to initiate the momentum with his grip. If he stops, she stops abruptly because he's physically holding her back.
If he turns, he twists her.
Yes, if he turns, he torques her body.
She's luggage again.
Effectively, yes. But when he offers his elbow, usually bending his arm at a 90-degree angle to create a little hook, and she takes it, everything changes biomechanically.
How so?
First of all, she is the one holding him. She is the one exerting the grip on his arm.
Right.
That means she can let go at any given moment.
Oh, that's the consent piece right there. She can bail out.
Exactly. She can bail out. She's not physically trapped by his grip.
That's huge.
And secondly, there's a concept in mobility called haptic feedback.
Haptic feedback, like a video game controller vibrating.
Similar concept, yes.
Yeah.
It's communicating through touch.
Yeah.
When she holds his elbow, she naturally falls about a half step behind him just because of the geometry of the arms.
Okay, so she's trailing slightly. Why is the half step important?
Reaction time.
Ah.
If Harry is a half step ahead and he steps up onto a curb, his whole body rises, which means his elbow rises.
Right.
Because she is holding that elbow, she feels that physical rise instantly through her hand. Her body registers up before her feet even get to the curve.
Oh, that is absolutely fascinating. She is reading his body mechanics like Braille.
Yes, that is exactly what she's doing. She is using him as a tactile sensor.
A probe.
If he turns left, his torso rotates,
Mm.
and her hand feels that rotation before he even takes the step. She naturally follows the arc of his movement.
So she doesn't even need him to say turning left.
Often, no. She is reacting to the physical data he is providing with his body in real time. She is walking with him under her own power, actively choosing to follow his lead.
That is a massive, massive difference from where we started.
Night and day.
In one scenario, she's being dragged around by the bicep like a misbehaving kid. In the other, she's following a beacon.
And think about it emotionally, too. It feels like walking arm in arm with your husband.
It looks nice.
It looks like a couple strolling down the street. It doesn't look like a medical transport pushing through a crowd.
That's a really great point about the aesthetics of it. It dignifies the public image of the couple.
It preserves their identity as partners.
It allows them to just be regular people on a date.
Exactly. It preserves the romance.
So we have the clock method for eating, and we have the guide method offering the elbow for walking.
Two very solid tools.
They are simple changes, really, but they require Harry to totally fundamentally rewire his brain.
They do.
He has to break the habit of reaching out and grabbing. He has to start offering and then waiting.
And honestly, that waiting is the hardest part of the entire transition.
Which leads us perfectly into the final section of the source material. And I think this is the glue that holds all of these tactics together.
It really is.
It's what the source calls the golden rule of consent.
This is the actionable takeaway that covers literally every scenario. Not just eating, not just walking. This is the universal patch for the relationship.
So the source says, and I quote, ask, How can I help before doing anything?
It seems so incredibly obvious, doesn't it? Ask how you can help.
It does.
And yet, in long-term relationships, it is almost always the very first thing to go out the window.
Why is that? Why do we stop asking the people we love the most for permission to help them?
Because of what psychologists call the intimacy trap.
The intimacy trap.
We assume that because we know someone so intimately, we automatically know what they need in every situation.
We think we can read their minds.
Right. We think, well, I know she hates opening heavy doors. I've known her for 20 years. I'll just jump ahead and do it. We bypass the consent phase completely because we assume we have a permanent standing order to help.
We think we're just being highly efficient. Why waste time asking? I already know the answer.
But disability or age or illness, it changes the context daily, even hourly.
True.
Maybe today she feels really strong and she actually wants to open the heavy door to test her strength. Maybe she wants to lean on the door for a second to stretch her back. You don't know.
Right.
When you act without asking, you are assuming her state of mind and her physical capability in that exact moment. You are completely removing the variable of her choice.
And the outline talks specifically about the pause, taking a split second to ask before acting.
Yes, that split second is where dignity lives.
Where dignity lives. I love that.
It's that tiny, almost imperceptible pause between your impulse to help and the physical action of helping.
Yeah.
In that pause, you are actively acknowledging that the other person exists as a separate, autonomous entity with their own desires and agency.
So, practically speaking, let's put Harry back at the steakhouse.
Okay.
Before Harry picks up his knife to reach over to her plate, he pauses. He arrests that hand movement. And he asks, do you need a hand with that?
Or even better, make it more open-ended. Ask, how can I help with this?
Why is that better?
Because maybe she doesn't want you to cut it at all. Maybe she just needs you to tell her exactly where the knife is on the table.
Ah, the map.
Right. Maybe she wants to pick up the steak and eat it with her hands like a savage because she's starving. You simply do not know until you ask the question.
And what about the party scenario? Before answering the question about the wine or the medication.
You wait. You simply close your mouth and wait. You look at her. You let the silence hang in the air for a second.
Which feels awkward.
It feels terribly awkward for the fixer. But you have to give her the space to step into that conversational void.
And if she doesn't?
If she struggles and she actively turns to you and says, Harry, remind me what the name of that medication was, well, then you have explicit consent to speak.
But you do not jump in to fill the silence just because you're feeling socially uncomfortable.
Exactly. You are managing your own discomfort again. The pause allows her to retain the pilot seat. If the pilot specifically asks for the co-pilot over the radio, you step up.
But you don't just grab the mic because there's a 2-second lull in the transmission.
Precisely.
The source has this really powerful line here. It says, consent matters, even in caregiving.
That is a critical ethical statement for anyone in a care role.
Unpack that for us. Why is that so critical?
Because we often think of caregiving as this sort of exception zone, a place where regular social rules and boundaries are temporarily suspended because of quote-unquote necessity.
Right. It's an emergency, so rules don't apply.
Exactly. We think, well, they obviously need help, so I'll just do it for them. But the source is arguing that the need for physical or logistical help does not negate the fundamental need for consent.
If anything, it seems like it would make it more important.
It makes it vitally more important because the person receiving care is already in a highly vulnerable position. Their agency is already being threatened by their medical condition or their environment. So if the caregiver also ignores their agency, they're being doubly disempowered.
It's like if I'm sitting here right now with perfect vision and you just randomly grabbed my arm and tried to drag me out of the studio.
You would be furious.
He's like, dude, let go of me. What are you doing? But if I had low vision, Harry somehow feels like he has a free pass to do that exact same thing because it's for my own good.
And the source is loudly saying, there is no free pass.
No pass.
The husband-Harry scenario happens precisely when we assume that free pass exists.
I do want to talk about the flip side of consent, though, because this has to come up.
Yeah.
What if Harry does the right thing? He pauses, he asks, how can I help? And she says, you can't, or don't help me.
Oh, that is the ultimate hardest test for the new co-pilot.
Say she's in the kitchen, she drops a water glass, smash, glass everywhere on the floor.
Scary situation.
Harry's immediate instinct is to grab the broom, push her out of the way, and say, I got this, don't move.
Correct. That's the classic fixer taking over.
But if he pauses and asks, Are you okay? How can I help? And she says, just tell me where the big pieces are. I want to clean this up myself.
Then he has to stand there.
Really? He just lets her do it.
He has to. He has to describe the location of the shards while she sweeps. He has to watch her maybe miss a piece on the first pass. He has to actively deal with his own internal fear that she might cut her finger.
That sounds absolutely excruciating for him to just watch.
It is excruciating.
Yeah.
But he has to respect what we call the dignity of risk.
The dignity of risk. I haven't heard that phrase before.
It's a foundational concept in disability advocacy.
What does it mean?
It means that everyone, regardless of their physical abilities, has the fundamental right to make mistakes.
Wow.
Everyone has the right to risk a cut finger to clean up their own mess in their own kitchen. If Harry swoops in and bans her from the cleanup, he is functionally saying, you are not capable of handling risk anymore.
He denies her the chance to fix it.
He denies her the redemption of fixing her own error.
That is profound. If he cleans it up for her, she's just the clumsy person who made a mess and had to be rescued.
Yes.
But if she cleans it up herself, she's the person who handled a mistake and solved the problem.
Exactly. We accidentally deny people their adulthood when we try to remove all risk from their lives.
Yeah.
Harry thinks he is saving her from shame or danger, but he is actually cementing the shame by treating a simple accident like a catastrophe that requires a hazmat team to step in.
You know, what's really striking to me about all of this as we talk through it is that while the source material is specifically written about low vision,
Right.
this applies to absolutely everything.
It is entirely universal. The principles of dignity, agency, and consent are universal human constants. They don't magically change just because someone's eyesight changes or their mobility changes.
I mean, I'm just thinking about aging parents. My dad is getting older.
Mhm.
Sometimes he fumbles with the remote control for the TV.
A very common scenario.
And my immediate instinct is always to just snatch it out of his hand and say, give it here, I'll put the game on for you.
You are husband Harry in that moment.
I am 100% Harry. And I'm doing it because I'm impatient, and I genuinely think I'm helping him get to what he wants faster.
And what do you think he feels in that moment when you snatch it?
He probably feels obsolete. He feels like his son thinks he can't even work a TV anymore.
Exactly.
But if I use the co-pilot method instead...
You would sit there. You would sit on your hands.
Yeah.
You'd say, Dad, the input button is the small one on the top right. Press that one.
You provide the data.
You provide the data map. And then you wait and you let him press the button.
And I preserve his competence.
Yes. You act as his prosthetic memory for the remote, but you completely leave the agency and the action with him.
It's the same with kids too, right? Like with homework, do you hold the pencil and do the math problem for them, acting as the pilot? Or do you explain the concept and let them write it down themselves as the co-pilot?
It is the fundamental question of all human support. Are you doing for or are you doing with?
Doing for versus doing with.
Are you creating long-term dependency or are you facilitating their ability?
Help that removes dignity is not help. That line just keeps ringing in my ears now. It's such a high bar to clear, though. I really do feel for Harry. It's hard to be that disciplined all the time.
It is incredibly hard. It requires constantly checking your own ego.
Yeah.
Because let's be brutally honest, being the hero helper feels really good.
It does.
It feels good to be needed. It feels powerful to be the one who knows the answer and cuts the meat and physically guides the way.
You feel like the savior.
Right. And being the quiet co-pilot who just sits on their hands and offers an elbow when asked, that's much less glamorous. But it is infinitely more loving.
It's less about you being the hero of the story and more about letting them be the hero of their own story.
That's it. That is the entire shift the source is asking us to make.
So, just looking back at our journey today, we started with Harry, the well-meaning controller. We watched his wife reach her absolute breaking point, and we really deconstructed the difference between treating someone like a child and partnering with them as a full adult.
We learned that the pilot must always fly the plane, and the co-pilot must trust the pilot to do so.
We picked up some serious tactical tools, too. The clock method for dining, giving them the data points, not forkfuls of food.
Right.
And the guide method for walking, offering the elbow so they can hold you and read your movements rather than you grabbing and steering them.
And underlining all of it, the most important tool, the pause, the question, how can I help?
It's a complete overhaul of the caregiving mindset. It moves us from managing a loved one to truly honoring them.
And ultimately, that restores the relationship. That is what allows Harry and his wife to be husband and wife again, rather than just nurse and patient.
Now, before we wrap up today, we do need to briefly mention the disclaimer from the source material.
Yes, very important. The source explicitly notes that this material is for educational and awareness-raising purposes.
Right. Every individual's medical condition and personal relationship is unique.
So please don't go home tonight and yell at your partner, "The deep dive said you're holding my elbow wrong."
Exactly. Use this framework as a conversation starter, not as a bludgeon to win an argument.
Very wise advice.
But I do want to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought to mull over as you go about your week. We've talked a lot about hairy and low vision caregiving today, but I want you to look at your own relationships right now.
Even the ones that have absolutely nothing to do with disability or medical care.
Right. The question is this. In your everyday interactions with the people you love, your spouse, your kids, your aging parents, your friends, are you reading the map for them or are you trying to fly their plane?
That is a incredibly powerful diagnostic question.
Are you giving them the data they need to make their own choices or are you secretly grabbing the controls because you think you can just fly it better and faster?
Control is so often disguised as care. It is really worth checking which one you're actually dispensing.
Try the ask first method today. Just try it once. See what happens when you take that split-second pause before jumping in to fix something. You might be really surprised by where the pilot decides to go.
Indeed, you might.
Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thank you so much for joining the conversation, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.